TGIF, and happy Friday to everyone out there. We're back for another episode of In Case You Missed It This Week in GovTech. Jed and Joe have rejoined us, and we've got a special guest again this week, Kris Trujillo, the founder and CEO of Velosimo. Kris, thanks so much for carving some time out to join us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So you're up to some pretty interesting stuff, but you also have a very unique path in the market. Tell me a little bit about your background and your journey to where you're at today.
Well, absolutely. I've been a fan, I think, of eRepublic and of what you guys are up to for a long time. I've been in GovTech 20 years, actually. So been in the space for quite a while. A little bit about me. I'm a very technical person. All I've ever done in my entire career is built, software. Actually, started off way back in the day. It's funny. I grew up playing the Nintendo and really wanted to write video games. And so, I taught myself how to code way back when I was a kid, and really got involved in GovTech about 20 years ago, actually. So, my journey started. Worked for some other software companies before I actually ended up at Acela 20 years ago. And worked there for 15 years and spent time building the Acela product, the Acela Civic platform, and and the last 4 years have been building Velosimo as the founder. And I think along the way, just to kind of tell my story a bit about how I got here and the vision for Velosimo and what we're up to. And we're an integration platform. We're focused on the government market, and we're focused on that integration problem. And how I arrived here. It's been a fun journey. I was just thinking about this as I was getting ready to, I can't believe that it's been 20 years. I can't believe as I look back, like some of the, the hops along the way, if you will, to get here, and the vision that really landed here. And really what that is in the time that I've been in GovTech, I spent, a lot of time at Acela in a technical, as I mentioned, and building the platform. And, if you kind of watch the evolution of that company, and I mentioned that probably a lot in here because I think I owe a lot of my career, to the evolution of that company. We were doing some things, and there's some movements in GovTech that happened back 8-9 years ago as Code for America started to come in, and there was a new energy that came into GovTech, and I was really a part of that, if you will, from working at a software company in the space, and we were really interested in how do we become this innovative company and do these things. And so I myself at the time, the position I held was architect. I was very much been an architect of software my entire life, and I got super involved with just what was going on in what I would call the movement at that time. I think you guys probably shaking your heads, you kind of know what I'm talking about, open data. And at Acela at the time, we were creating the API into the platform and then opening up, and we created civicdata.com, and we were into the open data movement, and I was having a lot of fun in that I was able to go around and start to get involved a lot with what was happening in the Code for America world with the brigades and all of that. And so I found myself, because I was traveling a lot, I live in Salt Lake City, I got involved with our local brigade, Open Salt Lake, back at the time, and now I'm kind of going back a bit. And then, traveled around, and through all of this, I really started to see this innovation happening in the space. And I started to see these cool apps coming out, right? Because working here, in the space at that point had been about 10 years and working at Acela. And at Acela, we were always using cool technology. So it was fun. But then I started to see these front end applications, as you will, that were solving these problems that existed and how to intake data better and how to interface better. And at Acela, we were really interested in how do we promote, developer development? How do we get people to actually use our platform? And started to have hackathons ourselves. And as anybody that's watched what happened through that company back in the day, we'd have at our conferences back at Acela, we'd have hackathons, and people would create apps, and they would do some things. And where I'm going with all of this, and while I was writing product and engineering at the same time, getting a lot of demands on integrating that product to other things. And and where I'm going, I really could see this problem where there was all this innovation happening. There were great products, what I would call front end products, new innovative products, and then there were the kind of older legacy products like Acela, and some of, as we all know, there's a lot of them in the space. And there are great integration platforms out there, but there wasn't anyone that was doing what was really I could see needed, which was focusing on connecting these products together, which gets us to what we do at Velosimo and what we're up to, And so, but through that journey, I could see there was really the need for a player in the space to focus on connecting everything, to focus on, and it couldn't just be anybody. It needed to be a group, and it was more than the technology. It needed to be a group that understood the space, that understood the technologies, they understood the users, and the users being the GovTech companies as well as the agencies, right? The agencies are very much a part of this, and their ability to use those platforms. And so left Acela a few years ago and founded Velosimo. It's been 4 years actually. I'm shocked it's been that long. It's crazy to say because we've been just running so fast, and I get going, and I'll tell you guys that I'm really I get animated and I like talking about what we're up to, but that's kind of a brief journey to where we're at, and how I formed the vision around what we're up to with Velosimo, and kind of diving into that a little bit more. What I've done and what we've done is then taken it and brought an integration platform to market, but also we're taking it to the next level, which is we focus on creating those connectors. We focus on working with those GovTech companies and working with those other players to make that happen. So
that sounds great.
That's what we're up to. And
that sounds great. I think when you looked at it, one of the things you hit on was this. You said the integration problem or the integration challenge, right? So how are you approaching solving those integration and interoperability challenges in the GovTech market through Velosimo?
Yeah, so what we're doing, and again, you kind of think about my history. I said there are integration platforms that have been out there. The concept of the middleware is not new, right? And what I was able to see is that they do not have the government logos. You go and you get any of the major vendors, you open them up, you start to do something. They don't have the Acelas, the Tylers, the ePlansoft, the Seamless Docs, any of those types of products that are out there. They don't focus on that, right? Now, at the same time, you take a platform like that and you give it to government IT. Well, it's very much a blank slate. Like government IT has so much to do. They don't need to take a technical platform and try to make it work, right? And so what we do at Velosimo, we have, and that platform is very much needed. And so the Velosimo platform is a integration platform. It has all of the features to configure integrations. And that word means something, meaning, if you look at iPaaS, integration platform as a service, there are different features in an iPaaS platform. And so, the Velosimo platform has all of those. Now, to get to where your question, Joe, what we're doing is we're taking it to the next level, and we're using our platform to pre-build connectors between the products, and the connectors are use cases. And so we take on, let's say, plan review. We're partnered with ePlansoft and we're partnered with Acela. ePlansoft's a plan review product. Acela is the permitting product. In that case, the Velosimo connector contains the use case around the experience for doing plan review from that perspective. And we work with both vendors in that case, and we go around the gamut of all the different use cases, whether it's plan review, electronic signatures, payments, document storage, on and on and on and on, right? And so we focus though on pre-building those integration use cases and then creating interfaces that are easy to use. And so our target audience is a business analyst type user, which means setting up an integration becomes much easier. It's repeatable. The interfaces to do it are a lot easier to use, and the monitorability of it becomes something that they can take on themselves. So in production, they can do things. And so our approach is essentially productizing the integration layer within GovTech, which hasn't been done until now.
Hey Chris, I'm going to back up just for a second. At the beginning, when you said video games, it instantly caught my attention. I'm a lifelong gamer. I'm a game critic. I actually have some video games on one of the shelves back here. Sorry, I think my speakers are a bit too loud, so I'm cutting those down. But to get to my question, though, you already mentioned some of the connectors and use cases. I was just curious whether you could go into detail about maybe 2 or 3 of those, because I'm just interested in learning more about what all this means.
Yeah, well, I think if you take it, I'll kind of maybe keep going with it. Like, let's use the plan review process, right? I mean, there are a lot of different processes within government. We'll take plan review, and an electronic plan review is new. It's been interesting for me to witness and see how many agencies are still using paper-based processes. I mean, I've watched a number of them. So they come into the electronic world. You have an existing permitting product typically, right? But you don't have the e-plan piece. You don't have the electronic plan piece. And so, you take that use case. What we've done is made it very seamless so that it's a complete, and I think this is interesting too, as you get in and people say we have integration. Well, what does that mean? You need to get into the details. And so with us and with our connectors for ePlan products, you can take in an application, walk it through the complete submittal process, manage, all the comments and things like that. Now, what we're doing is making it essentially turnkey for the two products to work together. And so you don't have to think about the use case, right? We basically bring the best practice to the market for that use case around a number of products, and whether it's, around electronic document review or around e-signatures, so around like DocuSign or Adobe Sign, and so we're able to do that. And one of the biggest advantages, you kind of got me thinking about, like, you could think of us as the ability, to plug different things in. And so as we connect in one system, we can plug it into other systems. So, as we've connected, like, say, DocuSign to our platform or Adobe Sign to our platform, we're then able to, with our flows, hook that to all the other GovTech products that are connected to our platform. And so now we've just enabled, electronic signature across a number of products, where it allows users to stay in the product. So I'll use Acela. It allows the Acela user to stay in the Acela product, work in the Acela interface, and as they're statusing workflows and doing things, the Velosimo engine in the back is integrating and calling out to DocuSign to pass information, right? And so seamless experience. The end users, the business users, aren't having to, understand how this works. They're just staying in the products. The magic happens, and so on and so forth. But we have a lot of use cases. I mean, you look at the team too, and I really speak to that piece as our team. We've got, we're continuing to add, but we have well over 100, I think we're around 150 years of collective GovTech knowledge on the team, right? And so we continue to add that, which when you look at that, we're not just an integration platform, right? That's very much what we have is a nice technology platform, but we're a team of people that understand these different use cases, in this space as well. And so we've been able to do that and button them up into interfaces that are much easier for government to use.
That's great. Now, I know government agencies are always interested in leveraging the work of others. And so I'd love for you to maybe break down how these connectors enable that magic to happen. Is there a speed kind of privilege or benefit of being able to leverage some of the pre-existing work that you've done?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, because now you're thinking about it when you're buying something, like, let's say you're adding on a plan review product, or you're adding on an e-signature product, or you're adding on, cashiering, or you already have that, like one of the cashiering products, the Velosimo connector, it already has the different use cases built into it, and so you're able to then see, oh, this is how it works, right? And it's literally configuration at that point. So you're setting values, things like that. Now we work with our customers as well to enhance those. So our connectors have roadmaps, like our product management, they manage the roadmaps of the connectors. And so you look at, I could use one, Seamless Docs to SharePoint, right? If you're familiar with Seamless Docs product, it's an awesome portal product. And then you've got like SharePoint on the other side. So, with that connector, agencies can quickly same day enable an integration between a Seamless Docs form and a SharePoint list or a SharePoint data set, right? And so same day, within an hour, we get the tenant stood up, installed, they're able to configure and go, right? And so, we're enabling people to do something they weren't able to do before, which is literally, we've had this with COVID, it's been interesting, the need to go live same day integration on certain things, right? And so we can enable that because it's more about configuration and less about how do we do this and like how do we connect to this API, and if you look at the Velosimo product, you're not looking at like APIs, you're looking at a form that is connecting to systems that you understand, right? Because you typically have some knowledge of the system you're working with, right? So
one of the things that comes up often is reuse. Is that possible with the connectors? And if so, what's the process?
Everything. Yeah. I mean, everything in our platform is reusable. I mean, it's because it's productized, right? So if you look at like, as I talk about all of these different use cases, they're all productized, reusable use cases. And so when you install our connector, the use cases are essentially there, right? They're ready to go. And so when you're enabling any type of experience, and then the great thing, because I see this in a lot of places, there is the need at times to do something a little different here, a little different there. The configurability of an integration platform like Velosimo allows for those tweaks to happen as well. And so we're able to put in the best practice. We're able to allow, repeatable configuration. And then with some flexibility for extension using the tools that we have. And so, but where you guys are going and what you're asking, Joe, that's what we essentially are all about, is repeatable integrations. When you look at any of our customers, the city of San Diego, down to Queen Creek, Arizona, two agencies that use the same connector. They both use the exact same connector from us. Very different sizes, as we all know. One's super large, the other is a lot smaller. Exact same connector, does the exact same thing. Both of them, one has a lot more obviously activity than the other, but same essentially configuration and things like that. And it really is allowing us to roll out like that, where we can go from a smaller, Queen Creek's not as small as we have smaller than that. Like Queen Creek, I think is 40 or 50,000 in pop, right? Versus, San Diego's up over 1 million or so. And so we really focus on how do we service, everyone. And then what I love and what's been great to see is once you get into production, that's where people really see the power of a platform like ours, because you can actually see what's happening. You can actually see the activity. You can see that APIs are failing. And I think what's been really rewarding, and when you kind of look in government right now, the integrations that have been built, they're all point in time. Like we kind of talk about that way. They're point in time integrations. Somebody was hired, typically a consultant. They coded this integration. They gave the code. And a lot of times they don't even leave the code with the agency, but it's now in the agency's hands. It logs to a server somewhere in a log file, and they don't really know how it works, and it doesn't usually work all the time, and there are problems. And so with Velosimo, you have visibility as far as a user, an agency user, to log in and see what's happening. There's retry capabilities, and so we all use web pages, and I'm sure you guys have went to a web page and it doesn't load all the way, and you have to click refresh. Well, APIs are the same way. They are web pages, and they don't always work. And so, with a platform like Velosimo, we monitor those, and the platform itself can retry those and capture those and give visibility into and those kinds of things happening. So I kind of went deeper than the repeatability, but I think that repeatability is just so much of what we do, and then it's just all of the other features that we have on top of that. And you can see I get super excited when I start talking about this topic.
Hey, that's okay, Kris. We find it very interesting as well. So there's a big term out there, the connected revolution. And so that kind of brings me to my next, I guess it's two questions in one. But first, what is your company doing to usher in the connected revolution? And then second, what would the connected revolution allow government agencies to do that they can't do already?
I think, as I was thinking about this, like any revolution, I mean, I think it's a cause. There's a better way to do this. Like, I think that's really at the heart of it. There's a better way. And at the same time, we have the talent. We are we are the people that can show you that. And I say that in not just myself, but the team I've been able to assemble. Maybe look at the Velosimo staff and the people that we're bringing on, and our ability to come in and our deep experience in the space, and looking at that and allow government agencies, what would allow them to do. I mean, you're making me think about a deal I was actually thinking about yesterday that's coming in. It's really allowing government to have a much better experience with their products, all of their products, because they all work together. And so, in this case, a vendor was scoping a deal of like, here's the product, but then it also has a plan review product attached to it. It has Laserfish for document storage attached to it. It has a payment attached to it, right? And so they're then getting a whole holistic solution that runs on a single platform that is very easy to configure and manage, right? And so, and then what we do as they move forward, we're able to really help them continue. So a lot of agencies today are going from on-prem to cloud. We're able to walk through that with them. We have a number of agencies that have started with us on-prem on one side, right? And so again, some systems are today in the cloud, one side's in the cloud and one side's on-prem. And so, we're able to walk that through that. But the revolution and what they can do, I mean, I think it's showing people that there's a better way and a different way of doing this, and that, and we're up to that over here at Velosimo. And that is essentially productizing the integration layer and creating repeatable interfaces that are easy to manage and easy to monitor, and with a team that's specialized in what it means in the GovTech space to connect these different products. So But I will also be this too. I think, and I haven't said this enough, we're focusing on our partnerships with these different companies as well. And and I think what really sets us apart too is our ability to work with the different companies and to partner with them. And it's great as we're diving in, and when we have a partnership with both companies on both sides of the connector, just the power that we can bring to the table for the government agency.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. We've kind of seen this trend where there's an unbundling happening, of all these new capabilities that can now be delivered, at the edge, as an app or as a service. And so, the challenge with that, like one, it opens up a lot of opportunity for agencies because they can find a best of breed solution. The challenge is, how do you make it interoperable, and how do you connect the dots with all of these disparate best of breed solutions? So I think you're kind of nested in there, which is really interesting, which kind of brings me to my last question for you, which is just around, who are you working with today? I mean, there's so many of these unbundled solutions and applications. You also have 19,000 cities and, so much potential. Yeah. I'd love to learn a little bit more about, kind of what your ecosystem is today.
Yeah, well, my goal, I want to enable everybody to use, the Velosimo platform. I think that everybody needs us, from the system integrators to the GovTech companies to the agencies, right? And so, where we're at, I mentioned a few, our customers. I mean, we've got great customers: City of San Diego, State of California, OSHPA, some of our larger ones, and then we're all over. But the partnerships, I think, is what I really am striving for and loving. It's, I mentioned Acela. Acela is one of our partners. ePlansoft is one of our partners. Seamless Docs / CoFile. Seamless Docs was recently acquired by CoFile. Those three have been our partners for a while. We are working with CityWorks. We're working with Granicus right now. We're working with Forte. We've got some stuff going on with Laserfish. We've got connections into Bluebeam and DocuSign. And so, we're really working on a lot. I'm probably missing some. I'm like, I should have had a list ready. Like, and I'll tell you, we actually just had a call with another company right before this, right? And so what's happening for us today, and I'll tell you that the phone's ringing, meaning people want to talk to Velosimo, because the next thing we're doing is we talk about these connectors. Our focus is enabling third-party developers to build connectors. So you can use the Velosimo platform, you can use our endpoints, you can use our tool set, you can do what we're doing, and you can build connectors. And so, as I mentioned these companies, our goal is to really enable others as well to build and create these types of connectors. And so, we've got a lot happening. I'm excited. I mean, our roadmap is full of just so many connectors to come for all of these different products.
Well, that's great. It's exciting news. The easiest question you're going to get today from us, Kris, is where does our audience go to learn more about Velosimo?
Yeah, well, there it is right there. You go to our website, check out our marketplace. That will give you a sense of all of the, the different connectors that we have. And then I think follow us on LinkedIn. We're very active on our social media channels, whether it's Twitter or even Facebook. But follow us on LinkedIn, and you'll definitely get a sense of what we're up to. And reach out to us too. You can go out to on velosimo.com. There's definitely a way to get in touch with us, and we'd love to tell you more.
Awesome. Well, Kris, thanks for joining us and taking time out of your day to share a little bit about Velosimo with our audience. And for all of you, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.